Complementary feeding is to start suitable diet for your infant and to continue along with mother's milk in order to provide proper nutrition for your infant. Now the question is, why it should be started at the age of 6 months? Why not before? Why not after? By 6 months your infant will have proper head control, proper hand and mouth coordination, and also having mouthing and gumming. Also your baby will have gut enzyme like amylase by 6 months. So 6 months is the suitable time to start complementary feeding. After 6 months, breast milk would not provide alone the needed nutrition for your infant.
There is a new concept in complementary feeding, responsive feeding. What is responsive feeding? Responsive feeding is simply feeding your baby when they show sign of hunger. So what are these signs? This can be early cues like opening mouth, baby open the mouths, baby turn their heads. And what are the late signs? Late signs are like when the baby is crying, getting agitated. So practice responsive feeding. So you have to identify hunger in responsive feeding. Don't force feed the baby. You have to introduce one food at a time.
In the Department of Paediatrics, Medica Hospital, Kolkata, we really advocate complementary feeding. In addition to the complementary feeding, we also educate the mothers about the food safety. Now, what is food safety? As the complementary feeding requires lot of handling, food and utensils, everything is involved. So if there is any breach in the disinfection or cleaning, the child may land into getting infection or food poisoning. So we teach the mothers how they can prevent that things. So what we tell them? It is something called 6F. Now what is 6F? 6F is food, finger, fluid, flies, fomites and feces. So how can we prevent this? First and foremost is washing hands. We teach the mothers how they can wash their hands scientifically, so that with maintaining all these steps guided by WHO, so that they can prevent infection spreading through their hands. Second thing is cleaning of the utensils and the articles used for the feeding of the baby. We always teach them or inform them that the utensils and the articles which are used for the baby feeding should not be mixed with the other family members. They should clean it separately. They can use the regular liquid detergent available in the market, but it should be cleaned thoroughly and dried before they use it again. And each time after feeding, it should be cleaned with the detergent only. In some cases, they can use boiling. Next is when they are feeding their children, the very important thing is to wash their hands, especially when they before feeding them and before they make their feed. And the other thing is how they store the feed. Sometimes we use a homemade mixtures which is instant to use when the baby is while feeding the baby. Those pre-mixed feed should be stored in a airtight container just to prevent the contamination.
We always encourage the complementary feeding at the age of the 6 months, because this is a requirement. Complementary feeding actually bridges the gap between the breast milk and the solid food. So we always suggest to give the complementary for the age of the 6 months from the balanced diet. Balanced diet means we always teaches the mother to choose from each of the food groups like cereals, pulse, fruits and vegetables, milk, fish, chicken, egg, butter and ghee. We from the cereals, like we can introduce the suji at the one time, then the rice, kheer, then from the vegetables we can choose the carrot and the potatoes, like that. Then the vegetables that locally available, any kinds of fruits that we can give it to the baby in the mashed manner in the early stage of the weaning. And then the fish, chicken, egg, and we always encourage the mother to add the oil and the butter to the baby's preparations. And another thing is that at the starting time we always encourage mother to give the pureed food, then the semi-solid, then the solid food at the age of the 1 year. You should always keep in mind the food should be from the family cooked food at the age of the 1 year, so that they can take the interest to the family food, and that they can involve in the family food, and they can show their interest.
I am not only the dietitian of Medica Superspecialty Hospital, I am also a mother of 1-year-old baby. So in a hospital, Dr. Nicola and her team has teaches me about the complementary feeding, and I had follow her guidelines throughout the 1 year. I have started 2 to 3 times meal to my baby at the age of 6 months. After that, I have started 6 to 8 times of pureed diet to my baby in a form of puree, in a form of suji, khichdi, like that. And at the time of 1 year, I have started our food, which I made in a home for ourselves, that I feed to my baby, and he is taking that food very peacefully and pleasantly. I have followed such little things that I don't use any kind of digital objects during feeding of my child. I have included all my family members while I feeding him. I started one food at a time, and I continued it for at least 2 to 3 days, that I want to see his acceptance to the food. Then I switch to another food, and I also try to introduce him a little bit of new foods, because at this age he is developing his taste buds, he is acquiring his food tasting development. So I just want to give him something new, not every day, but I am trying to give him, because I am a working mother, so I have to maintain my all the things. So I don't introduce him any kind of commercial products. I try to give him something which is homemade, that will give him a nutrition that will help him to get his optimum nutrition at the age of 1 year, or for his well-being. That's it. Thank you.
Mainly in PICU, PHD area, we get so many different age group of children. Some after 6 months, some parents have already starting the complementary feeding, but they not adequate. In that time, we need to give health education to the mothers, importance of complementary feeding and advantages of the complementary feeding. In that time, we need to escalate this matter our dietitian department and kitchen also. Good nutrition, care and hygiene is the first 2 years, is importance of the first 2 year of life. Good nutrition, care and hygiene is very important to the first 2 year of life.